Hello! Okie doke, I'm starting off. These are low carb, high protein things I'm trying out. These are almond flour pumpkin muffins. So,
Hello! How are you?
okay, so Pet decided to be my little helper. I'm actually making these kind of late at night. I needed something to eat before I made my smoothie, just like a quick little muffin, high protein, to start my day. Sometimes I wake up and I just feel like I'm gonna pass out. I have low blood sugar when I wake up, so. And when I was pregnant with Bria, the midwife said if you do eat some like fruit or something sugary, they were talking about fruit because I do eat fruit in the morning, make sure you have protein with it. So in my smoothie I always have fruit and protein in it, and then as a snack I would always eat like strawberries and cottage cheese or peanut butter and apples. In this recipe, I've never made it before. I'm actually doubling it, so if you notice, if you've been watching and I've noticed I've been doing twice as much as I say on the screen, it's because I doubled it. I wanted to have plenty so I could eat a couple in the mornings, just, yeah, to raise my blood sugar before I could make a smoothie. So I had leftover, what's called coconut cream milk stuff, because I only needed a quarter cup in the original recipe, so I only used a half cup in this recipe since I doubled it. So I had leftovers, so I put it in a little container in the fridge and I used it the next day in a smoothie. I made it for Pep, her chocolate milk, you know, the protein powder in the milk. I thought, oh, maybe she'll like it creamier with the coconut milk. She didn't, so I dumped that into my smoothie because I was making ours at the same time, and it was good. I made a lighter smoothie because coconut cream is it's filling. So I did like half a banana, some coconut cream, some chocolate protein powder, and what else did I put in it? That's pretty much it, I think. Added a little water, and that was it, and it was delicious. Yeah, I put pumpkin spice in it. I probably add either like a teaspoon of cinnamon or another teaspoon of the pumpkin pie spice. The muffins were not very pumpkin-y at all. I mean, it had canned pumpkin, which, you know, canned pumpkin isn't super flavorful, but the pumpkin pie spice was just not cutting it for me, so definitely add more next time. Also, they're not very sweet, so if you're trying to stay healthy, add something sweet into it. I personally like adding maple syrup or honey. Chocolate chips. So yeah, like I said right there, a couple tablespoons of maple syrup to make it a little sweeter, and that's for once-ing the recipe. With the double, I'd probably add like 4 tablespoons of honey or maple syrup. Honey is way sweeter, so I'd probably do 2 or 3 tablespoons doubled, and then for the double recipe, probably 4 tablespoons to 5 maple syrup actually. I did 10 minutes because the recipe is for regular muffins. Bruce laughing in the background. And so I was like, well, better safe than sorry, I'll try 10. And it needed 13 minutes. I was like, okay, well, it came out wet, but let's see. Let's try another couple more minutes. So I did 3 minutes, and it was perfect. So like I said, add something to make it a little sweeter. I did chocolate chips, but it was a pretty good recipe. It does contain a lot of egg because it's a high protein, low carb meal, so it is a little eggy, but that's okay. Moving on, Southwest stuffed sweet potatoes with black beans and quinoa. I'm using this fruit and veggie wash from Truly Free to wash my sweet potatoes. They are organic, but I like to wash my fruits and veggies with the spray anyways, whether they're organic or not. Honestly, does it work? I think so. I can't guarantee. How do you tell whether it's working or not? I guess if you're allergic to pesticides and you use it and then you don't have a reaction? I don't know, but I use it because I feel like it does something, like, better than just water. So I started stabbing my sweet potatoes. Oh my gosh, I always forget how difficult stabbing sweet potatoes are. Like, stabbing a regular potato, fine. But a sweet potato, they're as hard as a rock. Anyways, I realized, wait, I don't like the skins of sweet potatoes. I am going to peel them first, because I don't want no hairy skin on my sweet potato. Not that hairy, but enough. So I peeled them, but they're a beautiful color when you peel them. I love the color of sweet potatoes. It's awesome. Oh my gosh, stabbing these. 20 speed that. It took forever. You can stab it, but getting the fork out sometimes is a pain in the rear. Here I'm just spraying them with some avocado oil and putting them in the oven. I did do 50 minutes to start, checked on them, did another 20 minutes because they weren't quite done. It looks so good afterwards. I honestly just wanted to gobble it up, but I didn't because here's the rest of the ingredients for the recipe. I'll probably get more sweet potatoes in a couple weeks and just eat them. I like chopping them up into squares, cubes, and baking them. Or as people say fancier, roasting them. The recipe does call for red bell pepper, and I can see why, because you're using jalapenos, so you have green, and then you use the red bell pepper, you have red, and then the white onion, or yellow onion, whatever you want to use, purple onion. So you have a bunch of different colors, but I had a green bell pepper, so also green bell peppers are way cheaper. Why? I don't know. I mean, I do like a good colorful bell pepper, but green is cheaper, so why not? I'm a cheapo sometimes. No, I can, next time when I make these, I'll get some red so that it's brighter. Maybe red and yellow. Do a combo. So I'm just putting the spices in. You're supposed to cook them until the onion is translucent and the other stuff is soft. So, and then start adding the spices in and cook for 30 seconds. I probably cooked longer than that afterwards. I got a little ahead of myself and added it before the veggies were quite done. But salt, garlic, I put cayenne. It calls for chili powder. I don't know what chili powder, generic chili powder is. So I always just use cayenne. I grew up using cayenne. I love cayenne. I will put cayenne on everything. Just kidding, not everything, but a lot. Paprika, I also calls for smoked paprika, but I don't have smoked paprika. I also don't do a lot of smoked stuff, so paprika it is. My can opener broke. Yay! So that's about as good as I could get that can. I used it for the pumpkin and stuff, muffins, and it was giving me a hard time then, but then this time it just wouldn't do anything. I had to like pinch around the can and then pry it open to get the beans out. I was like, good enough. Yum. Pep started helping me again. She had the cheese and stuff. Quinoa. I don't eat quinoa a lot, but apparently it does have protein and better for you than rice, I'd say. I don't know, rice might have a tiny bit of protein, but I think quinoa has more. But I gotta say, this filling was delicious. Was it the cheese making it delicious? Maybe, but it was good. I'd definitely make this again. I would use red bell pepper because it would look prettier. Also, it calls for black beans. All I had was pinto. So I used Pinto. The black probably would be very nice looking in this. Also contrasts nicely, the colors. But it was good anyways. It was good. Pep loves this. She loves cream cheese. So I thought, well, why don't we do a little something besides just a chunk of cream cheese. So I roll it in turkey. I'm pretty sure I did this when I was little. You know, I had this little kid cookbook when I was little, and it just had simple things you didn't actually have to cook. And it would... Okay, so real quick, spinach artichoke, stuffed mushrooms. This was also good. All of these were a smash hit for me. I broke one. I actually ended up breaking two. Bummer. Okay, back to story time. I had a little cookbook as a kid, things you didn't actually have to cook, and it called for a flour tortilla, some ranch or mayonnaise. I always did ranch because I loved ranch as a kid. I would eat it out of a bowl if my mom let me. And then some lunch meat and some cheese, and you roll it up, and it's like a fake sushi. You cut it into little slices. And so I would make that all the time. I loved ranch, I loved cheese, I loved lunch meat, and wrapping in a tortilla, a way to get it to your mouth. Way to get it to be consumed. Okay, so I cleared out the mushrooms inside a little bit so I could have room for the stuffing, mostly squishing it. A little bit of stuff fell out. And then you're supposed to put it into the oven on high broil for 5 minutes on each side. So that's what I'm doing. And then while it's cooking, I'm trying to get the filling a little ready. Also, this spinach is frozen, and so if you take it and really quick before your hands warm it up too much, you can break it. It just shatters into pieces. Shatters into pieces. So I grabbed some handfuls and crinkled it real fast. Mozzarella, it calls for like 3 ounces, but I put what I had. I had a little left, so I put it. Parmesan, it calls for ½ cup. I think I put a little less than ½ cup because I'm not using big portobello mushrooms like it calls for. I am just using baby ones, so I did end up having extra filling anyways, but that's okay. I spiced it with salt and pepper and garlic, and here I am cooking the mushrooms so they can roast on the other side. I didn't leave them for 5 minutes, but I would suggest you do. It was a little more soggy on that side. Not super soggy, not enough that I cared, but I only did it for like 4 minutes because I just wanted to eat it already. But I would suggest doing it for 5, because, you know, any liquid in the mushroom will come out and it cooks off in the oven. See, there's some liquid coming out, so a minute more probably would help that. I tried the filling before I started stuffing it. Of course it's gonna be good. It's cheese, cheese, and more cheese. And spinach. It is called artichoke, spinach artichoke, stuffed mushrooms. I didn't have any artichoke. I forgot it when I went to the store, and so I just did it with what I had. I had been putting it off because I was like, I want to get artichoke, but I just haven't gone to the store, so it's just so hot, and I hate going out in the heat. So I did it without artichoke, but I'm sure it would have been really good with artichoke. Probably even like marinated artichoke, but next time I'll find out. I'll definitely be making these again. You bake it 375 for, what did I do, 10 minutes? And that's it. Thanks so much for watching.